Dueling rallies today, both for and against the city's controversial pied-à-terre tax.
Zohran has officially kicked the hornet's nest with his pied-à-terre tax. There is nothing oligarchs hate more than paying their fair share, so they are coming out in droves, or rather, dinky small little groups. New York City Council demanded a hearing, but when Zohran's administration refused to play along, the millionaires threw a little temper tantrum, only to completely humiliate themselves.
The City Council's oversight hearing is underway as the rollout of the tax has led to confusion and a lawsuit. CB Cotton reports. She's live outside of New York City Hall for us. Hi, CB.
Hey, John. So behind me right now, a small group has actually gathered in support of this second home tax. But inside City Hall is where both anger and confusion are boiling over.
That's because inside City Hall, the only real New Yorkers who count are the ones who can afford second homes worth over $5 million. It is incredible how fast and hard those city council members will work to appease wealthy homeowners. Because to them, the thousands of New Yorkers who are struggling to afford housing aren't exactly a concern.
I'm one of the thousands of working class New Yorkers who support taxing the ultra-rich.
And just feet away on the steps of City Hall, real estate and condo associations oppose the new tax.
They're scared, they're frustrated, and they don't know what to do because the city put the burden on them.
The mayor and his team skipped the public hearing, citing pending litigation, but submitted written testimony.
As with all revenue collected by the Department of Finance, these funds help the city running. The revenue DOF collects supports essential services that New Yorkers rely on every day.
And the deadline to apply for an exemption from the new tax is September 18th. Officials say you can submit proof like your driver's license, and that will be accepted.
I find it hilarious that so-called responsible adults who earn their money on merit can't figure out how to submit their address to the city. They're complaining of so-called oppression and doxing just because they can't commit their tax fraud anymore. And while we expect these rich parasites to recoil once some daylight has been shined on them, it is shocking just how angry so-called public officials got about this tax.
So how the administration published more than 900,000 names and addresses showed me that this is how the administration feels about homeowners in this great city, that this is something that we need to be ashamed of. A hit list of the haves and the have-nots, a scarlet letter.
Our offices have been flooded with calls from anxious and confused constituents raising many questions. Why were their names and addresses publicized for the world to see? Why did they receive a notice saying they may owe an additional pied-à-terre tax when this is their primary residence? Why did this list include 900,000 people when it was meant for 17,000?
Now, I understand in the post-Trump world that just straight-up lying is a very effective tactic, but let me just set the record straight, because MAGA mainstream media has been throwing this shit at the wall just to see what sticks. So to clarify, the supposed hit list of 900,000 homeowners is actually just the annual tax assessment that has been going on for literal decades. All of that information about who owns what home and how much that home is worth has been public since before Mamdani, and it isn't the same at all as the pied-à-terre tax. Kathy Hochul had to come out and say that the MAGA media is just straight up lying. So instead, what is actually happening is a letter was sent to 17,000 people who were likely not paying their fair share of taxes. And they're upset that they got the letter, asking them to prove that they actually live there. And a lot of those people who ran to the internet or to journalists to complain are simply too stupid to realize that they're just admitting to being tax cheats. I don't know how these sob stories are supposed to convince any working class person that this policy is unfair. Kyle Bragg relayed an example of a friend who called him recently with concerns. That person bought a brownstone for about $400,000 some 40 years ago and has since retired and relocated to Florida. The brownstone's value is now likely above the $5 million threshold. He kept his brownstone here so he can keep in touch with his kids and his grandkids. Like, dude, get a hotel when visiting your family like the rest of us and stop complaining about not getting a free handout. You literally live in Florida. This guy isn't a New Yorker, so either sell the brownstone or pay the tax. Simple as. These are the sort of crybaby snowflakes that were demanding Zohran show up for a hearing.
You know, what it really feels to me like is it's the administration or the powers that be saying, we see you, we understand, we see the value of the apartment, we're willing to expose you, we're willing to tell everyone how much your apartment is worth. And I believe it's a direct result of the policies of this administration. I think they've said as much. I'm not really asking questions. That's what I believe that it comes from. Socialist policies from a socialist administration that is manifested in the rollout of this very unfortunate doxing.
It was a completely silly hearing that the Mamdani administration rightly refused to attend. Not only were they restricted by a lawsuit that one of the fellow millionaire crybabies filed, but also pissing off the oligarchy-friendly New York City Council leader Julie Menon is an excellent way to send a message. Clearly, it was all just a big stunt to frame Zohran as a scary socialist coming for your vacation brownstones, if you had one, I guess. Mamdani's team gave them a chance to reschedule the hearing, and they just flat out refused. They gave him a clarifying statement, but for some reason that wasn't enough. They wanted to drag him in front of the city council and flog him for daring to protect real New Yorkers and not rich Floridians. They also hate that he's hot, too.
Dig deeper into these policies. Free is not free, free is tough. So I think there's a deeper meaning.
Socialism notwithstanding, I'm told Mamdani is really good looking in person, Emily.
The truth is that New York's wealthiest citizens are doing just fine. They can absolutely afford an extra 5% tax on their second homes. And for the city council to fight Zohran this hard on it shows how little they work for the average New Yorker and how hard they work indeed for the oligarchs who grease their pockets, I'm sure. You can support the channel by subscribing and becoming a member if you're so inclined. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.